How far apart do you think product providers and intermediaries are in terms of what they expect from RDR? And how does the FSB accommodate their differing requirements or their differing viewpoints on critical components of the eventual solution?
It's an interesting question, Gareth. I can't say I've thought about it in terms of the divergence between product suppliers and intermediaries, but off the top of my head, I would say the support for the intent of what we're trying to achieve is consistent across both. I think there is a real concern regarding the sustainability of the models going forward. People are very anxious to understand what we mean when we say that we will support the sustainability of the advisory space and of intermediation. And I think those concerns are shared equally, and the need for certainty is certainly shared. And frankly, I think it's also a shared interest amongst both product suppliers and intermediaries that we continue to grow the pool of South Africans participating in the financial services sector. So I don't see them as particularly far apart. What we do see is concerns from product suppliers as to the extent of responsibility they might be expected to take for the advice being provided by the channels that they use. And from intermediaries, we see sometimes a sense of, well, it's time product suppliers took more responsibility for the products they develop, because they sometimes see themselves as takers of it. So I do think there's some work to be done on understanding that allocation of responsibility for the customer outcome across the value chain. But from the remuneration model perspective, I'm not really seeing that the value chain is poles apart.
Fair enough. In terms of the actual implementation and the process going forward, perhaps you could just give us an idea of when we will see the discussion paper, and then how long after that we will expect to have a comment window, and then eventually you must have sort of a pie in the sky rather, implementation date. It was very difficult.
Gareth, to be honest, it really is difficult to say, but the target date for getting the discussion documents out is May. We're conscious that it's a far-reaching set of proposals, so we haven't reached a decision yet on the extent of the consultation time, but I would imagine there'll be a good number of months, a few months. The overall implementation we're looking at for the Twin Peaks model is the start of 2016 to get some of the fundamentals into place. So I think we'd certainly would like to know what we're working to by then, but not necessarily have everything in place. But as I also said in the panel discussion, we are looking at some immediate damage control interventions where we think there are particularly conflicted and problematic structures in place as interim measures.
So do you believe a forum like today is a useful forum, and would you say, based on the questions you received from the floor, that the intermediaries are engaged in the process and willing to put their case to the regulator?
Increasingly so. I certainly see value in discussions like today. It's really useful to us to get input. The intermediary and other industry associations like your own are really coming to the party on this by creating these environments and participating in process, but there's still not enough people out there who really feel that they have a voice and an opportunity to talk direct. So I think this is extremely helpful. I think it will be helpful to up the ante on these discussions more once the discussion document is actually out, because there's understandably, there are a lot of assumptions being made at the moment as to what the thinking is. So I think it'll put more structure to the conversation once the paper is out there, and we're very conscious of the need to do so.